Hello, Wonderhussy here, and I am tired. I spent the last 2 months of my life moving all my worldly possessions out here to my Death Valley compound, and it's been nothing but packing and cleaning and unpacking and more cleaning, and all the while I'm trying to maintain this YouTube channel that supposedly celebrates a carefree lifestyle, or the illusion thereof. And what's made all of this even more difficult is the fact that I had to do the entire move without any coffee. That's right, I haven't had any coffee throughout this whole process, and you're probably wondering what I'm drinking in my cup here. Well, I can tell you one thing, it ain't coffee, it's chicory. And why would I subject myself to the torture of drinking chicory instead of delicious, aromatic, caffeine-laden coffee? Well, if you've been watching my channel for a while now, you might remember I quit drinking coffee back around the 4th of July because of a medical diagnosis. That's right, I was sitting home on the 4th of July and noticed that one of my breasts had swollen up. So I went in and got a breast ultrasound, and they found a couple of cysts in my breast. And the doctor told me coffee or caffeine can cause breast cysts, so I ought to sort of lay off the coffee. And my OBGYN had been telling me that for years, actually, because, well, I guess my breasts are just kind of dense and cystic in general. So I've known for years that I needed to dial back on my coffee. And so I had. I'm the kind of person who likes to sit at my desk drinking coffee all morning long. Well, once my OBGYN told me to dial back, I figured out a workaround, and that was to start using decaf coffee mixed with real coffee. So I would do 2 scoops decaf to 1 scoop regular and make 3 cups of coffee that were about 1/3 strength each, which equaled 1 cup of coffee. Good, right? Wrong. Next thing you know, I started getting lazy and slipping, and in the afternoon I'd make myself a 2nd cup of coffee as a little pick-me-up. And then too, I wasn't taking into consideration all the other sources of caffeine in my diet. Chocolate, kombucha, Coca-Cola, basically all the things I love. I mean, between all of those things, there's no telling how many milligrams of caffeine I was taking in every day. So after I went in and got this diagnosis of breast cysts, I thought, okay, I'm going to cut out coffee for real this time. And I basically went cold turkey. I mean, I did still have some decaf coffee at the time. And so what I did for the first week or so was just brew straight up decaf. And despite its name, decaffeinated coffee does still have some caffeine in it. Little background here, a cup of regular coffee has about 95 milligrams of caffeine for an 8-ounce cup. 95. A cup of decaf, according to what I was able to read online, has between 2 and 15 milligrams, I guess, depending on the kind. But it was still a dramatic reduction in caffeine. Going from 95 milligrams of caffeine per cup to, on average, 7 was a pretty steep drop-off, and I definitely noticed the effects. I mean, if I was sitting there working at my desk, editing or whatever, I would notice that around 10 or 11 a.m. I would start to get real groggy and sleepy and foggy brain, and I just want to go lay down and take a nap. And then it got even worse when I ran out of decaf. I decided I'll just drink herbal tea. Well, that didn't last very long, because, God, I mean, what's the point? Herbal tea is just not the same. I missed, like, the smell and the bitter taste and the bold feel of coffee. So I decided to try these these fake coffees they sell. This one's chicory, and this one here is dandelion. Believe it or not, you can make a coffee-like beverage from dandelion. And these drinks do look kind of like coffee. I mean, you can see here, despite the fact that there's basically a tea bag in it, it does look like coffee. And it even kind of smells like coffee. But it doesn't really taste like coffee, and it certainly doesn't have the kick of coffee. I did start drinking kombucha in the afternoons, if you know what that is. It's a fermented drink made out of black or green tea with sugar. But I guess in the fermentation process, somehow it loses almost all of its caffeine. And so I researched the brand of kombucha that has the least caffeine is supposedly this Health Aid brand. I think it has about, well, maybe depending on the flavor, between 6 and 10 milligrams of caffeine. So again, 95 in a cup of coffee, between 2 and 15 in decaf, 6 to 10 in this kombucha. So I figured if I'm drinking, I wouldn't drink a bottle every day. Sometimes I just drink a half bottle. On average, let's just say I was having maybe 6 milligrams of caffeine, which is way down from 95 per cup. And meanwhile, I also totally cut out chocolate from my diet, which actually wasn't that big of a deal because Weirdly, I'm not that big of a chocolate eater anyways, but it was hard to cut out Coca-Cola. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not a huge soda drinker, but every once in a while, especially when I'm driving, I love an ice cold, fully caffeinated, and full sugar Coca-Cola. But that had to go too. I haven't had any coffee, any chocolate, or any Coca-Cola since July 6th. Now, today's November 5th, so that means I'm here talking to you as someone who has had almost no caffeine in 4 months. But I'm also talking to you as someone who was recently gifted this amazing, fancy Dutch coffee maker and an entire freezer drawer's worth of really nice, fancy coffees that viewers have sent to me over the years. My sister has been enjoying all of this, and she says thank you, but, well, gosh, it just kind of seems kind of churlish on my part not to at least have 1 cup of coffee in this fancy Dutch coffee maker. I mean, look at this thing. Isn't that sexy? It's called the Mocha Master, made by Technivorm. And the same generous viewer who sent me the coffee maker also sent me this amazing high-end Austrian burr grinder to grind up the beans. So not only does it seem unnecessarily churlish of me not to have at least 1 cup of coffee brewed in this amazing fancy Dutch coffee maker, well, I'm also kind of curious to see what the effects would be of having a cup of coffee after not having any for 4 months. Okay, coincidentally, right around the time I decided to quit drinking coffee, this author named Michael Pollan wrote a book and did an interview on the Joe Rogan podcast about his own experience cutting out caffeine. And I think he only went for 1 month. It might have been 2, but I think it was just 1 month, no caffeine. He had the same exact experience as me. He was foggy and tired and couldn't think straight and couldn't get work done. But then at the end of that 1 month, he went back and he drank a cup of coffee. And to hear him describe it on the Joe Rogan podcast, it was this near psychedelic experience. And oh my God, it made him realize how powerful a drug caffeine really is. Well, I'm a pretty hardcore skeptic, so I was pretty cynical about the whole story. And I kind of thought he might be making it more dramatic than it really was just to sell copies of his book. Well, now I find myself in a position to test for myself whether Michael Pollan was exaggerating or not. Now, of course, I know everyone's body chemistry is different and there's all kinds of other factors involved, but I decided, well, it's been 4 months, got this fancy new coffee maker, why not celebrate finally having moved out here to Death Valley by brewing myself 1 delicious cup of fully caffeinated coffee, and then see what happens. So from my extensive collection of coffee, I decided to brew a cup of this cowboy coffee. I think this was sent to me from a viewer named Blake. So thank you, Blake. I finally get to try this stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and grind up some cowboy coffee in this fancy Austrian burr grinder. My sister showed me how to do it, so I don't think I'll mess anything up. Oh my God, the smell of these beans is just amazing. I feel like the taste of the coffee and even the effects of the coffee might not even be half as amazing as just huffing these beans. Okay, coffee is ground and smelling amazing. Now I just have to add it to the Mocha Master. My sister told me if I want to make 6 cups of coffee, which is what I'm brewing because she wants more coffee, I need to put 4 scoops of grounds. 1, 2, 4. Okay, that's supposedly the magic ratio to make 6 cups of coffee. I'm actually weirdly excited about this. I almost feel like a young girl about to make love for the very first time. Remember that Donna Summer song? Look at the water bubbles released as the oxygen is drawn from the coffee. Now I feel like Sir David Attenborough. The aroma of the freshly brewed coffee awakens the sleeping beasts of the jungle. Drip, 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 drip. Okay, I guess that means it's ready. Out with the old, in with the new. Oh my God, that smell. Ooh, that smell. Can't you smell that smell? The smell of coffee surrounds you. I'm not just gonna chug this. I'm going to savor it. I'm gonna bring this cup of coffee right over here to my newly assembled dining room table, which looks out over the beautiful desert, and really enjoy it with a good old-fashioned coffee break. I'm actually kind of weirdly nervous too. Again, sounds just like that Donna Summer song. Interesting how many parallels there are between coffee and sex. Anyway. Oh my god, the smell. The smell is probably what I've missed most of all. Oh, should I take a sip? I'm kind of afraid for a few reasons, to be honest. One, I'm already such a hyper person that I can't imagine what this is going to do to me. Two, I also struggle with insomnia. And it's, well, by the time I got around to making this video, it's like, well, it's 2:37. So will I be able to sleep tonight? All right, well, let me take a sip. I'm just curious to see if it's like Michael Pollan said, and I'm going to start hallucinating all kinds of flowers and birds chirping. Let's see. Just kidding. Of course I didn't feel anything already. Oh, it's interesting. It's like feeling the embrace of a lover from long ago, an ex-lover from long ago that is all at once so familiar. So delicious. And then you remember why you guys broke up in the first place and what a bad idea he was. Just kidding, coffee. I'm not mad at you. Incidentally, if you like my coffee mug, they're available at my Zazzle store. My sister designed it, and you could have one for your very own self if you go check out the link in the description. Wowza! That was amazing! Woo! I'm totally kidding. It wasn't really that intense. Let me see, it's 3:01 now, so it's been, what did I say, it was 2:37? 20, it's been like almost a half an hour since I started drinking this cup of coffee. Now I haven't finished it, I'm only about halfway through. And do I really feel anything from it? Well, I'm certainly not hallucinating, I can assure you that, Michael Pollan. Well, I'm kind of hot and sweaty from running around out in the desert. I feel like most of the, I do feel adrenalized, but I feel like most of that is just the effects of making this video and planning the shots and everything. I don't actually know that the coffee has done much whatsoever. I mean, I'm enjoying the smell of it. And I guess I'm enjoying the taste of it. It's weird. It doesn't taste as amazing as I thought it might. I mean, don't tell Mr. Starbucks. Well, I guess the way to play this out would be just to sort of check in periodically throughout the afternoon and see how I'm feeling. I need to do some more unpacking anyways. You might be able to see the old compound here is still sort of half unpacked. So maybe I'll spend an hour or so unpacking and cleaning up, and then I'll check back in with you and advise you of my progress. Well, I drank almost this entire cup of coffee. Jitters? What jitters? Honestly, I do feel a little bit jittery. I definitely didn't have any kind of crazy psychedelic rush, amazing feeling like Michael Pollan described. But I guess I may be feeling a little peppier than normal. I definitely don't feel like it helped me get anything accomplished with my unpacking. If anything, it just made me more scatterbrained and, well, consequently, there's just stuff everywhere now. So, what are my final thoughts with this experiment? Will I make coffee tomorrow morning? Almost certainly not. I was afraid to do this experiment because I thought when I took the first sip and felt that caffeine rush that it would just be so amazing that I wouldn't be able to get back on my wagon. But to be honest, that really hasn't been the case. All I feel is kind of wired and not altogether pleasant, to be honest. I think I might just save coffee for special occasions, meaning, holidays or whatever, or those times when I'm hungover. It's nice to have that ace in my pocket, that boost when I need it. And if I just start drinking coffee every day again, well, then it'll lose its power. It's kind of like in the early days of my YouTube channel, before I realized anybody would watch my adventures, I used to cuss a lot. But I did get a lot of complaints from people about my language, and so I cleaned it up. And that's why I started saying things like, yikes, and holy cannoli. And at first I was salty about, why do people care if I cuss or not? Why should I change my vocabulary just to pander to the masses? But then I realized that by not cussing all the time, you kind of preserve the impact of those cuss words. If every other word is F this, F that, well, the word basically loses its meaning altogether, and it certainly loses its impact and its sting. So in the same way that I like these cuss words now having more impact when I do choose to use them, I think it'll be really nice having the impact of coffee when I choose to drink it. If that makes any sense. I know it's kind of a weird comparison, but hey, that's how my brain works. At least when it's on caffeine.